Okay, we'll call this meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Paul to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow.
That's like the Lou Gehrig speaking.
It's kind of weird. Well, anyway, you noticed that Chad is not with us in person, but Chad Sigmund has joined us on the telephone for our meeting. So he's present. Paul, you here?
Yes, sir.
I'm here. That's our roll call. Let's move on. Any communications or anybody speaking today?
There is not.
I'd like to speak if that's okay.
Beth, you want to say something today?
I do. Briefly. I asked.
Why don't you walk over here by Tim? So
I don't have anything prepared.
give your name and who you represent.
All right, I'm Beth Fox and I am here on behalf of the Bridgeport Utility.
Great.
And we want to extend our thank you to the board and to Mr. Franco for supporting Jason in his interest in becoming a member of the Bridgeport Utility Board. He had some very big shoes to fill. Mr. Joe Timms had to resign early and you know, it's a 2-year term, but while we had 3 very good candidates, Jason definitely was our top selection, or their top selection to suggest to council, mainly because of the experience he has not only in water, but in city management. And we think he would be a great asset to us. He's very easy to get along with, very engaging, very intelligent. Your passion for utilities is everything that we need and we want on our board. So we look forward to having him. Our council did approve that recommendation from Bob this past Monday at the council meeting. And hopefully our first meeting with Jason will be in a couple weeks to, we have some stuff to act on with regards to rate increases for our residents. So his knowledge with grants and with the regulations brings a lot of knowledge to our board, and I'm sure they'll be appreciative for what you have to offer. So thank you.
Very
all.
nice.
Thank you for your confidence.
Thank you, Beth.
Congratulations.
It's really a win-win for both communities. And
That's,
having him engaged in that will really be a lot more efficient, effective for all of us, really, tell you the truth. And he does have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay,
That's it.
all right, let's move right now to the approval of the minutes of
I'll
the
make a
previous
motion.
meeting.
To approve the minutes.
Motion on the floor, been moved in second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
All right, Jason.
Moving right into our general
I'm
manager
sorry,
report,
just jump. Bob, I'm back in the corner there.
okay?
You want to give him your monthly chemical cost report for the beginning of this fiscal year?
Yeah, July, it was pretty decent. It was 54,620. Again, I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about chemical costs. It depends on the weather. Mother Nature throws at us. If you look at it compared to June, we're down about $6,000 from June. So, I mean, we're right on track. So.
I was just saying we need to give you a formal recognition because you're standing out of range of the television camera since.
Oh, I got it. Don't worry. I got it.
I got it.
But we're talking about our feed on
Yeah,
YouTube, yes.
gotcha.
Oh, that's okay.
So we're gonna have to put you at the podium over here sometime like we did with Beth. And this is Bob Davis, who's our head of our operations
Water
here
treatment
at the
center.
Water Treatment Center, gave that report, okay? Please, because we're trying to work our way through this because we do have an audience and I'll say, who is Bob? We heard of Bob and I'm sure people are gonna say, who's Bob? That's, I guess, Bridgeport Utility Board, right? Okay, let's move on.
All right, Jason, you have the vendor history report for month ending July 31.
Jason Farrell.
We'll take any questions on that. I'll be more than happy to answer, but other than that, just your normal standard invoices and payables for the month.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I didn't have, do you have any questions on the financial report, Chad?
I don't.
I want to ask you something. On the Public Service Commission, I probably have asked this before. There's an item on there for, let me read it here. It's interstate revenue assessment, $22,558. What is that?
That's based off of our revenues. That's based off of our revenues for the, I'm gonna say this tax year, because it goes from January to December. So whatever revenues that there's an assessment they charge for our revenues.
Percentage?
Yes, I can't remember the exact percentage amount, but Tim might.
Not our recall.
When is this payable? How often?
We have to pay that it's every year, we have
So it's
that-
an annual payment?
Yes,
Okay.
it's paid every June, well, it's invoiced in June and it's payable by the 1st of July.
Thank you. Any questions? Any more questions, Chad? Then we'll accept your report and attach it to our minutes. Okay, move on.
Chestnut Street water line replacement project. I think Joe's on his way here. Dave Burns is off today. But I think you all can see the progress that's going on out there on the South Chestnut Street. Last week, as they were doing the last tie-in up at Harvey, they cut the line, and while the line was cut, the pressure on the line did push the existing valve off. And we had hundreds of thousands of gallons of water that leaked out, ran down South Chestnut Street, like the West Fork actually was coming down South Chestnut Street. It went down through people's yards. Thankfully, we got all that cleaned up and we had no claims. So we're very thankful for that. But mishaps happen on projects.
Fortunately, no one got hurt.
Yes.
Yes,
And
we
unfortunately,
are.
there was nobody in that hole when that thing flew off there.
And that was the last connection, was it not?
That was the last.
After all the inconvenience and getting ready to pave the street, which is going on now, right now.
That was the last
Can you
connection.
believe that? The last connection, we blew that thing. Wow.
But thankfully, our guys responded, got that water turned off within 20 minutes. We're thankful for that. Then it was pumping up the hole out and repairing everything and tying that back in. But as you can see, finally, that road's black again. We've got it paved. They should be finished with this section from at the entrance up to Harvey. They are not going to complete from this section down to 98 because we still have to do some work down on this end.
You're talking about, again, entrance to the Clarksburg Water Board.
Yes,
parking
entrance to
lot.
the water board down to Route 98. And the reason for that is because the drilling subcontractor pulled out. He just could not complete the job. So what we're going to do is my suggestion, and I hope it works. I've talked with Steve and Joe thinks it's going to work, is we're going to use this same way we slip line the line going up the road. We're going to do the same thing going down. The only difference is we have a 90 right there in the dollar store parking lot. So we can get that line to make that 90 bend, we're golden. We're golden. If we can't, we've got to dig the parking lot up, take that 90 out and get that line to bend. Maybe put 2 45s in to gradually make that turn. So we're fingers crossed we can get it to make that bend.
What size line are we shoving in there?
18, it's 18. It's a 16-inch line inside diameter. There he is. It's 18-inch outside diameter. Perfect timing.
Now the obstruction.
Sorry for the last minute. I forgot Dave wasn't here.
The obstruction is the hardness of this rock and stone or something.
Yes.
Through.
Perfect entrance. I was just telling them about our mishap up at Harvey, about the valve blowing off.
Yeah.
We got all that taken care of. So now we're down here where the drilling subcontractor pulled out, can't do the job. And we were going to do this, we're going to try the slip line.
Yes.
And you're concerned about the 90-degree fitting that we have there in the dollar store parking lot. Fingers crossed we can make that bend.
What size?
I would say it's a 90, but I think it's more of a 22 or 45.
That's even better.
What size is the pipe we're pulling?
It's 18 inside the 24.
It's the same line we've inserted going up the hill here.
You will not pull it unless you kink the line.
We went through it 22 up here.
He may just been up
We
here
didn't have
without any
issues.
problem.
We dug it up and looked at it.
So our guys gonna do that
It's
on
not
our.
Hold on one second. Chad, go ahead.
Original 22.
So, we wanna have another contractor, our guys are gonna do all that work themselves.
Yeah, our contractor is gonna be the one they want to sub that out now.
Okay.
Yeah, Green River will do that.
Okay, good.
We're just hoping that 90 or if it's a 45, we'll be great. Worst case, we gotta dig it up, right?
Yeah.
So how will you know, visually and so on, if you go to push this through underneath like that? How do you know you don't get a kink or something? How will you know that?
Well, we dug this one up here and I.
You're just
anticipate-
assuming that you can do this the same way,
I'm anticipating probably have to dig that one up as well.
because you have that stone and all that hard rock and everything.
Yeah, I wanna be able to look at it.
Just to make sure we don't have a camera. So,
Wait, can you put a camera through those things?
yeah, I mean, they cameraed it before we even inserted the line that it's clean.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think down here they had trouble because of the low spot was full of water.
Right
There
there,
where they couldn't see real good.
Oh, I got you, that.
because where there's a, under Arnold's Run.
So you got a plan, we just gotta get it done.
Yeah,
How
the
long is
only-
that gonna
The only
take?
open cut we gotta do is where our basins, because he's gotta tie the basins in, so that's why we're not gonna finish the asphalt work. They do have to open cut, DOH said that was fine, so we'll open cut and tie the basins in, so there's an existing valve, and there'll be a valve on this side too, where you tie it in, right?
Yes.
And we got permission not to go exactly 90 degrees across the road, we kind of got at an angle, like,
Correct, we can go whatever angle we need to go across.
That tie into the basin should be about a 90-degree angle. That one will be bad.
any questions?
What would be the ETA, that everything runs smoothly, to get that finished? Is it gonna affect much, is that part of the road that have to be closed for a week or so, or?
They are, there will be, when they do that open cut down there, but they will make sure they work around school bus schedules that they do.
Okay, that's what, that would be my question, also my concern.
They will make sure none of the work starts until after the school buses and stuff are at school.
Okay, great.
Once that's all, people who are watching, so when that's done from where we've done the entrance to the parking lot going up Chestnut Street, up the hill, this will be blacktopped all the way down to the
Go
interchange,
down to 98.
intersection.
Yes.
Correct.
And the
And that'll be-
contractor
then
actually.
it'll be done.
And the contractor actually is gonna help us. We asked if they could resurface the road from South Chestnut Street back to our pole building, because that road has been beaten up, not just by them, but the gas company, and that road's
Oh,
torn
yeah.
pretty bad. And he says, yes, we'll do that for you. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they do for us. They've been awesome through this whole thing. Joe will remember this project, I think until he quit sucking air, because he said, this is a project I'll always remember. He said, I will always remember this project. He said,
Good deal.
because what could go wrong went wrong, but we made it through, so.
Okay, any other
Appreciate that.
questions on the Chestnut Street, anybody?
And they'll start on the parking lots here next week.
No, I want to
Great,
get
we're
line.
gonna get all the other part of the party and everything.
Maybe
so
we
it's
can.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Chad, thank you, guys. Let's move on to the next subject there.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Water system improvements project, we ready to go to bid?
Pretty close. The only thing we are waiting on for contracts 1 through 3 is the, DOH permit. So all the paperwork has been done, we're simply ready to talk to them back. My intention is Monday to go ahead and ask for authorization to bid, even though we don't have that in hand. To go ahead and get that clock ticking on it. Contract 4, we are waiting for comments. We have submitted the plan and specs to DEP for their review. They sent comments back. We have responded to those comments. They had a second round of comments, which we met on Monday night to talk about at Rural Water. We have addressed those comments, now sending back to them. My anticipation is going ahead and doing the authorization or requesting authorization to bid for that also. Even though we don't have those those approvals back in hand, kind of saying, hey, we want to get this ball started, let's go ahead. So we should be able to do that.
Are we still on schedule to put that out this month?
Yeah, if we can get them to give us our authorization to bid, we should be out by the end of the month.
And this was a total 3A package,
Yes,
which includes Pike and Main Streets,
Yeah.
Staley and Northview, and what else? Is that it?
Rosebud
Rosebud.
and up here
A
on
section of Rosebud and up here behind the
here
water
on
treatment
Chestnut
plant.
Hills, yeah.
I'm much more confident in contracts 1 through 3, which is everything except the downtown part of
Okay.
it. Like, and that one, I think they may give a little pushback because we don't have their approved plans and specs.
Right.
But we want to go ahead and ask that because the hope is that they will see that request. The people that do that approval will walk down the hallway to the people that are needing to do the approval of plans and specs and say, this is the only thing that's holding us up, let's roll. So again, this is occurring all across the state right now for these types of projects. So we're all in that mode of kind of bumping each other along to that next phase.
I might add, we've been working on having public meetings, because I think when we're doing this project, inform public, there's going to be a lot of disruptions and so on, and how it's going to affect them. They're going to have questions and so on. So we planned some meetings for the Staley area, for Northview, for the downtown area, and that'll be coming up. We've already secured some places.
Yeah, and to let you know, my marketing people have said, just let them know they're available pretty much anytime next week, and we can start talking about when we'll have those meetings.
Next week's a good week.
Okay.
How about, have we addressed how we're going to handle this project once it's underway? Phone calls and
That's what this
Part of the
This
discussion.
is this organization, we're gonna get down in the weeds, who's responsible for it, how we gonna roll things out. We're gonna have these plumbers out here doing all this work on private property. Who do they call when they're finished? Who goes out and inspects it? The invoice needs to make it back to Jason for processing, all these things, how we gonna communicate as we move through the neighborhood.
Well, it is very complex and involved, but as far as the public concerned, we want to get the thing done, but yet they're also affected. So communication is going to be key.
And the majority of that communication, I expect to be directed in our direction, someone at my office, because we are going to have more of the day-to-day information from our inspector of what we're doing, what's happening the next day, when pipes will be shut down, what streets will be down. That'll come much more from my inspectors out on the job. And really, unless you really want to volunteer for it, I wouldn't think that your employees would really want to have.
no, that's my concern.
Yeah.
Like if we don't have it on the website, someone's 8 o'clock at night, they're getting home from work, streets are closed, or they're gonna be closed the next day.
Yeah, right.
We need to be, communicating. So also,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we're gonna
because-
talk about those particular details and logistics next week on how we handle that.
Paul's right. I mean, we have to think way outside the box because of different situations, right, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
And make it as convenient as we can for our customers.
And as this project develops, once they get done with the street and they move over, that street's gonna be in service. Our guys is used to where the old lines and stuff used to be. So we talked about as-built drawings as this project progresses, because Dave needs that
Sure.
to get it in our GIS system, real time, not in 2 years when the project's over with. We need to know now, because they can lay that line in 2 weeks, there's a problem.
Yeah.
We gotta get in here, but we thought the line was over here, no, it's over here now. So it's those kind of things we gotta talk about.
It is, and part of this particular project is gonna have a lot of eyes from the federal government, from EPA on this because of certain circumstances.
Sure.
Obviously, because of the lead service line. It is the first major lead service line replacement in the state of West Virginia. We already know that there will be an audit at some point on this, and so the documentation to make sure that everything is put back as, I can never remember the exact words for BABA.
Build American, buy American.
Yeah, buy American, build American.
One of
Whatever.
those.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So when you're talking about, so people are going to, we've got to be conscious, people will be watching this. You're talking about the parts and everything have to be made, manufactured in
Every
America.
fitting.
Every single
Everything,
Every
everything,
valve,
every little
everything.
bulk file, anything, pipe, whatever.
And not only that, we have the document that every fitting that is purchased, that we have documentation that it follows that compliance. And we have to follow that, basically from birth to grave in the material, how it was manufactured, and to make sure that it was the fitting that was actually put into the ground. So we've got that particular issue that we have to document, also documenting the residents that are going to get their lead service lines replaced. We have to document that very carefully. So this person that is doing all of that work may be our contact person for your communication. I'm sorry, it was a long way to get there, but it is one of the things we're talking about more of. This communication is going to be somebody that is out in the field on a daily basis, so that we've got that real-time information for anybody that calls in.
All right, this is a big subject. We could sit here and talk for an hour about this. It looks like we've got a plan to attack this. Let's move on to the next.
Yes,
Any
sir.
other question? Chad, any questions?
No.
Okay, I know Chad's got a time restriction, so we want to keep moving on. Yes.
So on the admin side, what do you have to report?
I've been there to attend and conduct your conference calls. Everything really with this bid authorization is in Thrasher's hands. I have to, update some financials here and there. When we finally do get to bid, we'll do draws and things like that, but at this time, we're just trying to get that out in the paper. So.
Now, before we move on, I just want to obviously let you all know, and let folks out there know, we have made a request to the city for a waiver of the B&O tax requirement on this project. We will be on the agenda, I think the first meeting in September. We'll be working with Tim and Doug to get numbers together, because I know that's going to be a topic of conversation. So a group of us will get together, get our presentation together ahead of the meeting, first meeting in September. So, but we do have that request into the city. So hopefully they make the right decision. So, okay.
We hope so too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what'll happen is that if they approve that 2% will go right back into this project so we can get more done. I mean, that's the short.
Which will be a great benefit to the citizens of this community.
Every dollar we can get returned to this is $1 less that our ratepayers have to pay.
Sure. Let's move on.
Okay.
All right.
Snake Hollow Road. Boy, I hope we can get this project moving along. I got a call from a resident last night, and they need water. I mean, they are desperate. So if there's any way that we can get Mr. Earl pushed, and I think this gentleman may be calling DEP and maybe calling. I said, we're pushing as hard as we can on our end.
Yeah.
So he says, it's not going to hurt you. I said, no, it'll get people in Charleston moving a little faster, but Doug, whatever we can do to get this thing moving quickly. People need water desperately.
Yeah, again, we've been calling them as well. I think it's part of the environmental assessment. They are telling us should be finished within the next week or week and a half, something like that. I believe once we get past that point, then we're into the stage of talking about when can we go out to bid. And so I think we're pretty close. We will still need to meet with the individual homeowners to talk about the pump stations that are being installed and that sort of thing. So we will meet next week to talk about the strategy of how we're going to do that conversation as well. But right now, I think we're almost past the AML approval process and actually able to get into the bidding part of it.
There was two questions. One, why are of course, you're all the engineers, you all have the elevation, the data and stuff, but why are pumps needed, period, out there? And I remember Steve telling us that once you get out, because that's like a mile from Clear Falls Road to the end.
Yep.
What's the reasoning for a pump at all?
Okay. So I'm going to use some bad graphics here and I'll try to make it quick for you guys. But so as you start out, the pressure in the line at the very beginning is somewhere up here. As the water is pulled through that line, the pressure starts to drop like this. Your line continues to go up in this direction. And at some point, the pressure in your line drops below where the water line is located. And at that point, you've got to have a pump to push the water back up high enough to have pressure again. And again, what we do is we have to look at those. The first couple of homes, I believe, are not going to need pumps because they're going to have enough pressure from the existing system. But as that water flows through that pipe, the friction in it causes it to lose pressure, and then we need to pump the pressure up. So the homes on the outer end of that will need a pump station in order to.
How many pressures?
Well, four.
Four, I think a fifth one's being built out there. Is that right, Bob?
I think it, well, they started building.
Yeah.
So the first couple homes won't need it.
Right.
Okay. So any pressure below, what is it, 30 pounds?
The pressure is at static conditions, 30 pounds is your minimum that is required. Under full service of the area of your system is 20.
So you got that 10.
Right. So you got a little bit of room in there to work with.
Okay.
But
and that's, so out there, it's not in that range. That's why you need to put the pumps in.
that is correct.
Okay. Now, the second thing was fire protection. We understand that this project was to get potable water out there. But if there's any time we can get we can help them in fire protection and want to do that. Obviously, it gives us a way to flush the system too. But according to Steve, we can only get about 250 feet of 6 inch, and then it has to be
Yes.
neck down to 2, which is not within 2,000 feet of those homes out there.
Right.
Is there anything that we can do? And there may not be. I just said I would ask.
Well, let me back up. Everything is doable with the amount of money. The only way to get fire protection out there is to put a larger pump in that pumps up to a tank.
Yeah. It costs prohibitive.
And again, for 5 homes, that seems to be cost prohibitive. Not my decision to make, but engineering wise, that is the only way to get pressure out there.
But at least they got one at the end of the road
Yes.
for the fire department to use. Okay.
All right.
I said I would ask that.
Do be aware though, that West Virginia does recognize, the health department does recognize as a standard, 250 gallons a minute as a minimum for a fire hydrant. But most insurance companies that are nationwide require 500. So again, just be aware, there is a discrepancy between those two numbers. If you hear somebody say, well, minimum required is 250, a minimum required is 500, that is the difference in those two numbers that you hear.
Thank you.
Any questions, Chad?
None.
When do you have to leave us?
Well, I'm gonna take my 15-minute break. I got another 15 minutes here.
Okay, we'll try to wrap this up here in just a little bit. Let's move on to the next
All right,
subject.
Second
Questions?
Street Pump Station Project. I know we keep throwing darts at this, but
Yeah, this has turned into a bit of a quagmire because even where we're looking at it, I've got the topo for the place, we've got a space picked out on Dr. Angotti's property there. Because of going out there and looking at my surveyors, and I would agree, just from what I have looked at it, the place we're putting it is below that road, and if you remember right, there are pilings there in which the road had slipped in the past. I am going to request that we go and do at least 1 or 2 borings where we plan to put the pump station, because we're going to have to do one of 2 things, or a combination of both. We're going to need to either cut into the hillside to make a flat spot, or we're going to have to pile dirt on the outside of it and put a retaining wall to make a flat spot, or some combination of both. Either one of those has the potential to cause a slip, either cutting into a toe or by surcharging outside could overload that and cause it to slip. So before we do anything, I would like to talk to you guys about getting a boring machine out there as quickly as we can and test that dirt. If it is sitting there in some sandy loam or something like that, then we may have to look at a different location. But before we go and put that kind of money into this site and then cause problems for Dr. Angotti, who has been nothing but gracious.
but he's already told us that there was an issue there.
Yeah.
And we don't wanna,
And as we walked down through there, we saw some other signs beyond what the piling showed that had me to pause a little bit. to say,
Slippage or something or what?
There's some little surface cracks, and I don't know how deep they go, but there are some stuff there that has shown some movement. And I'm not a geotech guy, so I want to bring in somebody that knows that specialty and can have them to do a recording on that, and let's see what we're doing.
Anything on that hill is always risky.
It is.
Anything on
It
both
is.
sides. I saw the city when they had a bicentennial, they set that immigrant statue up there and designed a parking lot when you go up into the park. On the first road as you're coming up Second Street, then you make a sharp turn back. Then they had a road going off of it with gravel and a parking place, and they put that immigrant statue there. Then about slid over the hill. I mean, it was just starting to slide. That's when they moved it to the courthouse.
No
And
kidding.
all along that hillside there's all kinds of problems.
Well, we noticed it on the other side of the tank as well, on
Yeah.
both sides of that little saddle area, that the road has moved at one time or another. And so again, all of those things have just gotten me really nervous, and
So we better be darn careful.
and that's it. I really apologize for this taking so long, but I just want to be super
we have
careful
to
about
have
what
it
we're
first time.
But we need to move on this stuff, though. That's the only thing. How long is it going to take to kind of get an estimate? And do this
I think
quarterly?
that I can get somebody out there next week to do the boring on this thing.
Is that a very, very expensive project, or is it just bringing a rig in?
Typically, I'm guessing it's gonna cost about $10,000.
Really?
Yeah, they kind of bring a rig in and drill.
Yeah. And it'll be
And it
like,
brings up a soil sample or the density of the soil and all that.
he'll bring up
Who does the analysis on that?
They do.
They do that, they do both.
Yeah, they provide us not only the actual physical sample, but then they do the analysis, give me a report as to how stable it is. And if we go ahead and use it, then what kind of foundation we'll need there in order to make it stable.
What will support, so and how to
I
remove
think
it.
that's a good insurance policy.
We definitely want to make sure we do it right. We always have, but I just make
You know, and with all that, and Tom's talked to you, and
Yes.
y'all kind of threw some numbers back and forth. I'm just gonna tell you, 600,000's not enough. I mean, we're looking at probably $1.2 million.
sure. Wow.
It would not surprise me at all when that, and again, because when we start talking about having to stabilize banks, then you are talking about going deeper into the ground, either with some piling or with some toe keys put in there. All of that stuff starts to just beg bigger dollars.
I mean, 450,000 of it is the pump station itself.
Right.
I mean, that leaves us with 150,000 left. And what we budgeted this year was 600,000. So I've tasked Jason to go back in and look in the budget, into our funds, if there's any way we can make this happen. And we'll have an answer for you, and we'll have better numbers by the next meeting.
Paul has traveled that road many times I have. This slips on the road itself, it sags, it sinks, it slides, going up and down top of Lowndes Hill there. Well, all we can do, we can talk about this on and on. We've got a plan. We just got to pursue it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next item. Any questions, Chad? I'm searching.
Yeah, no questions, no.
You're done. Okay, let's go on to the next.
All right, the Summit Park Energy Center project, Tim Stranko, the Thrasher Group, Douglas there. You want to give us an update? And thank God our representative here, since he wasn't able to go with us. Paul was there. Can you three kind of fill us in on how the meeting went?
It was a cordial meeting, but it was inconclusive. They want to see more information, specifically the request from the developer that we be the direct service, the retail service provider.
They want it in writing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, we already have that letter to us, but they want it to them. So Doug's colleague, Mr. Farrell, is going to get that letter generated and get it back to them. They volunteered to have a special meeting if we needed to move it
Faster.
more quickly. But I think we'll just attend the next regular meeting and Jason will be in town, tie this thing up. I have no reason to believe that they won't agree to the request the developer's making. We emphasize that the importance of cooperation and support,
Sure.
not just for this project, but for the next project and the project after that. We want to have a friendly development community, atmosphere in Harrison County. So, and they were sensitive to that. They agreed to that. And so I think the likely outcome is at the next regular meeting, they'll agree to the proposal.
I know I talked to Paul, to you, and to Dan when you got to our rural water meeting. It looked like it was a good meeting. If I was sitting on their board, I'd have taken it one more step too, because they're getting a lot of information. They need to digest it and feel comfortable, and we can appreciate that. We're going to move right on, right?
There were thoughtful folks on that board, and as you suggest, they want to be careful.
But bottom line, it's for economic development in this county, and it means greatly to them and all of us. So great thing. All right. Any questions?
Paul? Doug?
Okay. Thank you, guys. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, next, is that the last
Yeah,
item?
board member reports, y'all
I
have anything you want to
don't
report?
have anything. You have anything? Do you have anything, Chad, you'd like to report on?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say how great the conference was. We learned a lot of classes, got to network with a lot of people, so it was a great experience being my first time, and it was well worth the trip. So I was very appreciative of being able to go.
Well, I always enjoy going. I know people from Bridgeport are here with us. They were there. It is always a great conference. The training classes are good, even for board members. They have specialized training on how to conduct meetings, things going on in the state, regulation changes, things coming up that we need to be aware of. So it's really, I've always enjoyed it. Stranko, you've been involved in it for years in the past. It's pretty good. And Doug, Thrasher, several people in the room who were there. Jason, our finance guy, there's things that involve finances. So we try to keep our people get on top of stuff. So it was a good conference again.
Nice.
Anything else?
Yes, we got, some I changed the agenda a little bit to give the employees, things that they're working on, and Bob wanted to report to you all, so, on his TTHM.
Oh, yes.
Results that he just got back, and he done some nice reports and stuff in here.
Okay, this is
And,
Bob Davis.
This is Bob Davis, and he will explain, what you have in front of you. It's very, very good news.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw the charts.
Yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is what we've been doing around the plant. We've actually cleaned the outside of the clear well, both sides of that chamber's been cleaned, hasn't been done for, who knows. We had a diver come in and actually get the sluice gates loosened up so we could even close them off to be able to clean them. What goes along with this also is we was able to isolate half of that clear well. So we're only using half of it. Normally, there's 1.5 million gallons in there, okay? Now there's probably 500,000, if not less. And the reason we're keeping it low is the less contact time that we have with the chlorine and organics, the lower number of trihaloethmates. That's what we're worried about in the heat of the summer. So with that, and we've actually got Second Street completely shut off. We've had it off for a few months now. And the reason that we do that is the numbers in Second Street weren't high because it's dependent on the plant. But in order to get the system to turn over, you have to take Second Street out of the picture. And that allows us to bring the other tanks down. So we've been doing that for a while. And so that's what this here is. The reason I only did the third quarter was that's when it's the hottest, that's the highest numbers. Yeah.
Summertime's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, and how you figure out trihaloethmanes is you do it's a quarterly test, but it's a yearly running average on that location. And we have 4 locations. So what I wanted to do was kind of show what, the operators here have done, and we've all done together to try to get the numbers down. Hopefully here in the near future, we'll get equipment in the tanks to clear well, and it'll help us. We won't have to go through all this to do it, okay? But you can see rich oil, in 2020, it was 95.3, 101, 97. The last 2 years, we've really been doing a lot of flushing, and stuff of that sort. And like I said, we've also done it at the plant this year. So we went from 97 to 53.4 and 42.57. The MCL on trihaloethmanes is 80. So you got to stay below. What it is your quarterly running average for a year has to stay below 80. Okay, and if not, they can actually also give you an OEL, which is an operation evaluation level. So what they say is, all right, you did 97 this quarter. If you do 97 again, you're gonna be in violation. Okay, so short story of it is we've been able to really drop the numbers by what we've been doing around here. So like I said, rich oil was 42.5 this time. Got to be below 80. We're well below it. Tri-County, which is the hydrant out there, you can see in 2020 it was 115, next year 118, and then 146. That 146 is when they had us with the pHs high and all chlorine higher. So you can see last year we flushed the heck out of that. Millions and millions of gallons of water we dumped on the ground. We had 87.4. That's still pretty good for that area. But we were able, with what we did at the plant here and the system, to drop that to 67.79 this year.
Great.
That's a pretty good accomplishment with no equipment, no nothing. I mean, like I said, we have tried all kinds of different things to make it work. And we've found that. It's just hopefully in the near future we get the equipment and we won't have to do it. So the FBI the same way. You can see those numbers. The 67.5 this year. I'll take it. Mountain State, same thing. You can see we're below 80. That was the goal.
Trend is great.
Yeah. And we have all kinds of data that we've been keeping this year.
Good job.
From the plant effluent, the filter effluent. Just see the numbers coming out of the plant. We've been going to all the master meters to all the satellite systems, keeping track of what it is there each month. That way we have the data that says, hey, this is what it is, So we've got a lot of data this year. We've been doing a lot of stuff, so.
Good job, Bob.
And if people out near Tri-County, they see we have an appliance put on a hydrant out there, it is a flusher. to keep that water fresh out
Turn
there.
it over.
So he's got it set where it flushes 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So if somebody drives by there and they see water gushing out of it, it's supposed to be doing that, and we are accounting for that water. So that keeps water fresh out there, saves on manpower, because they were having to do that manually, so.
That's done mainly during summertime when it's really hot.
Right, yeah, and last year, like I said, last year, we had to leave it run we left it run overnight. This year, we haven't had to do that. 3 times that comes on, they actually went out and checked it today, and we had a 0.4 chlorine out there. You know, it's supposed to have a 0.2. We were fighting to even get that before. So
Great.
everything that we've done has been working.
Any questions? I know Chad's gonna be leaving.
Good job. Good job.
Bob,
Welcome back.
we're glad to have Bob back from, medical leave there. What's your crew been?
Well, we got the dam all cleaned up, got all the garbage off it, took concrete off, the rest of the pillars are gone, and all the rebars out of it. Just cleaning up around that. Take the old raggedy fence down.
We're talking, because we're on this YouTube thing, Heartland Dam, they had debris, logs and stuff around
Yeah,
against
we
that you
hauled
had.
all that out.
The old pillars that stuck up for putting boards in to create more of a dam effect. It was really nice, and you guys
We got
stayed
some brush
on
we
top
got
of it.
down there, but we'll get time, we'll get it.
But it looks really good, Bob. Good job. Good job.
His crew's really been inundated with, leaks. The dry ground, has really caused havoc to our system, and
They were out at 6 o'clock this morning,
Yeah.
402
Good
stable.
to have you back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sad you had to do anything.
Yeah. The only thing is, just for your reading pleasure, here is because there was no need to actually put this as an agenda item anymore. This is your, sampling results.
Yes.
That we used to report,
Yes.
just for your reading pleasure. Obviously, the trend's still trending in the right
We all
direction.
got that email. Good.
Yes. So you've all got that. If you have any questions, let me know. And that's it. We'll have an executive session here at the end, just to bring you up to speed on a few things, but we're done.
Okay. All righty. A motion to, go into executive session quickly.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, there's our second to it. We're gonna have a quick meeting. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.